And well, welcome back to New York Sports WickerMedia. I'm Watt2K99. Thank you, as always, for taking the time to watch these videos. The game just went final a few minutes ago as I'm recording. The New York Mets defeat the Philadelphia Phillies 7-2 and are now one game away from advancing to the National League Championship Series. I'll tell you what. This was about a 98% stress-free playoff game. There were those moments, but pretty much when the Mets took the early lead, the way that seanmanaea was dealing, and the confidence that the Mets had, just the vibe that was coming across through Citi Field tonight, you just had a feeling that this was going to be the Mets evening. Great defense early on by both Francisco Lindor and Mark Vientos. Manaea did give up a little bit of hard contact early on, but the infield was making some great plays. Bottom of the second inning, Petealonso comes up against Aaronnola. He's been facing this guy for 10 years, 5 home runs and 50 at-bats. And for the third time in this postseason, Alonso goes the opposite way, 1-0 lead. And even though the Mets didn't score any more that inning, I really liked their approach. Iglesias with a hard hit single, jessewinker flew out, but the ball went very deep. Even the outs, the Mets were hitting Nola very, very hard, and they were swinging early. It wasn't work the pitcher, build up the pitch count, get into the bullpen. No, it was see good pitch, swing at that pitch. That's exactly what they did, and it worked. It worked pretty well. It worked pretty darn well. Now with Manaea, when Philadelphia got base runners, it was a hit batsman. It was a soft liner over the infield. It wasn't hard hit contact at all. And then you go to the top of the third inning. We're just going to kind of go in order here. Sosa gets hit on the elbow pad by Manaea, except he wasn't hit at all. The ball didn't change direction. But then Manaea just sets it down, strikes out Johan Rojas, who looked clueless. A 95-mile-an-hour fastball to strike out Schwarber. I mean, how often do you see Manaea hit the mid-90s? Not very often. And after Trey Turner singles, he gets Harper to swing and miss twice. He gets ahead of him 0-2. That was what Manaea did all night long. He got ahead of the best Philadelphia hitters, and he induced a very weak ground out onto the fourth inning. Then in the fourth, Bohm knocks the ball to right center field. Tyrone Taylor, don't forget this play, bare hands it off the wall, fires the ball in like a missile. Great tag by Lindor to tag Bohm out. Of course, the Fox announce team said it was Marte who made the throw. Even the cameraman was zooming in on Starling Marte. These guys can't even get the right fielder correct. The center fielder versus the right fielder. I mean, this was like John Sterling meets Harry Carey. My goodness. I hate to be the person who complains about the announcers. You can be boring. You can be perceived to be in favor of one team. It's all subjective. But can you at least get the players correct? Bottom of the fourth inning. Fastball from Nola right down Broadway. Jessewinker hits it halfway up the Coca-Cola corner. As we kept going, the bottom of the Phillies order looked hopeless. Hayes, Sosa, Rojas. They give you speed and defense. They couldn't touch Manaea. Sinker in, changeup away. Manaea knows how to pitch, and that angle is murder on hitters. And I thought to myself as I was watching the top of the fifth inning, the Mets actually have a deeper lineup than the Philadelphia Phillies. Even though the Phillies are a playoff-tested team, even though they won the division, even though they finished with the second best record in the National League, the Mets have the deeper lineup. But by the bottom of the fifth, you see Aaronnola start to settle in. He's locating that sinker very, very well. I do think, by the way, that the home plate umpire, Doug Eddings, did a very good job. There have been a lot of bad umpires that we've seen with balls and strikes. I thought this one was, for the most part, very good. But he strikes out the side. Now, at this point, Nola's got 8 strikeouts through 5 innings, just 65 pitches. But through 5 innings for Manaea, he'd only thrown 63 pitches. And keep in mind, of those 63 pitches, 8 of them came in the first at-bat of the game against Kyle Schwarber, when he got Schwarber to line out hard to center field. So I'm thinking at this point, okay, 63 pitches through 5 for Manaea, no runs allowed. He's got to get through 7 innings. He's about to go through his 3rd time through the Phillies lineup. But the way this bullpen, as spent as they are, 7 innings to me was a really, really big deal. So the top of the 6th inning, and Schwarber had him at 1-2, 3 straight pitches out of the zone. ball 4. Then Trey Turner walks on 5 pitches, and this is like the one point of the game where I am really nervous. Up comes Bryceharper. 2 on, nobody out. And what does Manaea do? Change up, sweeper, sweeper. 3 strikes, 1 out. That took Cajones. And the funny thing, Howie Rose at this point, I'm listening to the radio broadcast for the most part in this game. In the 6th inning said, Manaea may as well let it all go because this is likely his last inning. And I'm like, no, I don't want 3 innings from this bullpen. No, we got to keep getting him. We got to get him through this. Up comes Nick Castellanos, who is 5 for 17 against Manaea up to this point in his career. Again, Manaea gets ahead. 0-2 count. Liner to Iglesias, and Kyle Schwarber, he was so far off the bag, I don't know what he was doing. He may as well have been running in quicksand because he was going on contact. Iglesias catches the ball, flips the ball over to Lindor, doubles him off, double play. The crowd is jacked. Manaea is jacked. I acknowledge Sean Manaea as my tribal chief. So credit to him, not just for getting those outs, but he was able to pitch in a way where he got ahead of both Harper and Castellanos. Amazing job. So now he's at 80 pitches, and I'm like, he's got to get the 7th inning. I mean, do I want him or Reed Garrett or Phil Maton? You know, I mean, I know this lead could hold up, but I don't want to take my chances with a 2-run or a 3-run lead against the top of that lineup. So bottom of the 6th. Now the Mets start to work the count. Vientos comes up, has like an 8 or 9 pitch at bat, line drive single. Brandon Nimmo comes up, down 1-2 in the count. He does he has always done so well, works the full count, draws the walk. The first walk of the game, by the way, aaronnola allowed. It came in the 6th inning. So at this point, Rob Thompson, the Phillies manager, has a decision to make. Do they leave him in to face petealonso, who has a 700 lifetime slugging percentage against aaronnola, by the way, or do you walk or do you bring in somebody from the pen? You know, you're not going to intentionally walk him and load the bases. That'd be foolish. Now, if I was the manager, I admit, I would have pulled Nola at that point. I don't want him facing the Mets' best slugger who hits him very well. He chooses to leave Nola in the game, and I'm thinking this is the opportunity to slam the door on this game right here and take a stranglehold on the series. Alonso works the full count, sinker just outside, and the bases are loaded, nobody out. Now the Phillies go to the bullpen. I just didn't understand the timing of this one. They bring in Orion Kerkering. He could throw the heat. Iglesias up. He hits a weak grounder on the first pitch. First pitch, weak ground ball. Sosa bobbles it at second base, but it was Vientos running towards home. Force at the plate, 1 out. Now it's jessewinker, and I'm just thinking, give me a sac fly. That's all I want. Just a sac fly, get 1 more run. Fly ball to left field, not deep enough. 2 outs. Up comes Starlingmarte, who, again, in my mind, was the best offensive player the Mets had in that series against Milwaukee. Gets a 1-0 count. Next pitch is a sweeper, hits a line drive single. It was like Ray Knight hitting the Calvin Schiraldi slider in Game 6 in 1986. 2 runs in, so huge. Probably the biggest moment Starlingmarte has had as a Met. And I keep saying this. When he got hurt in 22, around September of 22, the Mets were never, ever the same. Even when he was still hurt last year after the groin surgery, the Mets offense was never the same. You know, I know he's an older player. He's got 1 year left on his contract, but there's something about when he's on, this lineup is that much better. On to the top of the 7th. Mets are up 4-0 at this point. Manaea back on the mound, 2 ground outs and a strikeout, 87 pitches through 7. Just unbelievable. Bottom of the 7th, in comes Jose Alvarado, the hard flame-throwing lefty for the Phillies. He hadn't pitched since September 29th. He brought the 100-mile-an-hour fastball quickly. Vientos with a hard single off his foot. Harrison Bader pinch runs, steals second. So then with 2 outs, Brandon Nimmo walks and Alonso walks also. So now you've got the bases loaded, 2 outs. Up comes Iglesias again. So it's his 2nd at-bat in a row with the bases loaded. Except this time, you got 2 outs instead of no outs. So no room for error. And I'm just thinking, Jose, you've done a fantastic job this season. You're a great hitter. Just don't swing immediately. Make him throw you a strike. His control is wild. Don't get too aggressive. But Thompson goes to the pen again. I guess he didn't trust Alvarado to throw strikes with the bases loaded. I can't blame him for that. So he goes to Jose Ruiz, who pitched 1 inning over the first 2 games and not done very well. Iglesias, knocks it right up the middle, 2 more runs in. The throw from the outfield bounces off the pitcher's mound to the backstop. Alonso does get thrown out at the plate. No big deal, up 6-0. And then in the top of the 8th, they do bring Manaea back. And I'm thinking, okay, great. Let him pitch, but pull him as soon as he allows a base runner. And it turns out to be an infield single by Edmund Sosa. So they bring him out, and Carlos Mendoza chooses to bring in Phil Maton, who, I want to say this, had a very good September, was one of the Mets' best relievers for that month. But in October, he is at this point pretty much out of the circle of trust. He's almost on the Adam Ottavino level at this point. Matter of fact, I wouldn't mind seeing Ottavino next time instead of Maton, because Ottavino, it feels like he hasn't pitched in like 2 weeks at this point. So at this point, Thompson really starts to go crazy. He pulls Rojas out of the game for Weston Wilson, but then when they bring Maton into the game, he pulls Wilson out, so he never gets to appear in the game, and in comes Brandon Marsh with the outstanding beard, which could use a little bit of conditioner. Maton strikes him out, and up comes the top of the order. He walks, so he walks Schwarber. So now you have first and second, 1 out, Trey Turner up. Now on the 1-1 pitch, the curveball was way, way outside, but the umpire did call it a strike. To me, that was his one major blunder in the game. Again, Doug Eddings did a good job, blew that call. He eventually gets a weak ground out to first. So Maton did get Trey Turner out. I want to give him that credit, but the runners moved to second and third. And this is the spot where you wish the Mets still had a real lefty, a real loogie, that lefty specialist like Brooks Raley. Because now you got Bryceharper coming up, but Maton stays in. And man, I would feel like the Mets bullpen was that much more complete if they had that lefty you could rely on. I know you have David Peterson, but he's not the type of pitcher you're bringing in just to face a lefty or two. You bring him in to eat up multiple innings. And I thought Maton pitched way too carefully to Harper, especially with a 6-run lead. He knocks a single, it brings 1 run in, and then they go to Rynestanek. And even up 6-1, I'm not too worried. I just don't want to have to go to Edwin Diaz in the 9th. Because if he could get 2 days off instead of just the 1 day off, oh man, that would be really a big deal for a Game 4 and a potential Game 5. First pitch single, 6-2. So now the Phillies are a little bit closer. Up comes Alec Bohm. First pitch again, flies out to Harrison Bader. Crisis averted. And then we go to the bottom of the 8th. Mets up 4. And even up 4 runs, I was like, okay, I feel pretty good. But 1 run would feel like it would make quite the difference right now. I just don't want Diaz even warming up anymore. So in comes Carlos Estevez, not Estevez, it's Estevez, who they got from the Angels at the trade deadline. Somebody I actually would have been interested in having on the Mets. He starts with a leadoff walk to J.D. Martinez. And how many times have we talked about that? You walk the leadoff batter as a reliever, it often comes back to bite you. Well, Luis Angel Acuna strikes out, just absolutely overwhelmed. And then Tyrone Taylor comes up. He reaches base as Estevez can't field the ground ball back to the mound. Tried the bare hand, tried the glove flip. Nothing worked. And the Mets have runners on first and second. Francisco Alvarez strikes out. And now up comes Francisco Lindor, a name I have not mentioned outside of defense. Up to this point, he'd been 0 for 4. Pretty much everything you could do. A strikeout, a ground out, a line out, and a fly out. Just about everything. In this case, not so much. He doubles down the right field line. The ball caroms off the stands. 1 run comes in. It's 7-2. And that run even though I felt like the Mets had the game all but in the bag with a 4-run lead, it felt like at that point, that was it. And a lot of people jumping on the Mets bullpen, and I understand why. The ERA is pretty high. It was around almost 5 coming into this game. But the Mets bullpen, but the Mets have scored 13 runs off the Phillies bullpen in just 3 games. They are wasting the Phillies relievers, no matter who they bring in. And Rynestanek, a simple 1, 2, 3, 9th inning, and that makes the series 2-1 in favor of the Mets. Couple notes about this game. The Phillies had 5 hits all game, all singles. No extra base hits. Was a lineup that features some of the best hitters in MLB. Seanmanaea, easily player of the game. 7 innings pitched, 3 hits, 1 earned run, and that earned run was the bullpen allowed that 1 run to score. 2 walks, 6 strikeouts, allowed a little bit of decent contact early on, but got better and better as the game went on. I want to say again, and Petealonso talked about this in the postgame, good job on how they approached aaronnola. Attacking early, laying off those breaking pitches. That knuckle curve can be filthy, but their approach absolutely worked. And Alonso, again, 3 postseason home runs, all to the opposite field. And you know what? The Phillies, they've had some postseason runs, but they never have gone all the way. And now they got to feel like their backs are really against the wall going into Game 4 on Wednesday. And this is going to be interesting. If you guys know me, you know I do my show 6 p.m. Wednesday nights. Usually it's a lot of Jets talk. I don't know what's going to happen on Wednesday because it will be going on right in the middle of Mets-Phillies. I know I'm going to have the TV on. So this may be the most crazy, chaotic show I have done in quite some time. But it'll be Jose Quintana on the mound for the Mets. I love it. Always a reliable pitcher in September and in the playoffs. Going against, as of now, Ranger Suarez, the lefty, who's had a good season for the Phillies, but I thought maybe they might bring Zach Wheeler back on short rest. But as of right now, it's going to be Suarez. And how about this? You know the last time the Mets clinched anything, a playoff spot, a playoff series, the last time they did that was in 2006 when they clinched the National League East. So it has been 18 years since that happened. So you know what? End this thing on Wednesday and let the Padres and Dodgers continue to beat the crap out of each other. Well, everybody, thanks so much for watching. Hey, there's the New York. There it is right there. The old school black road uniform. Yeah, this was a gift. I was not going to pay money for the black jersey. But anyway, hey, join me Wednesday night, 6 p.m. Eastern. We'll talk a lot of Jets. We'll talk about the Robert Saleh situation with him no longer being the coach and where the Jets are right now. And, of course, there'll be a lot of Mets talk. Maybe a little bit of we'll touch on the Yankees and the Giants as well. But everybody, thanks so much for watching. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already. And I will see you right back here with more content from you know where, the Wicker Chair, and let's go Mets.